Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. My dear friend and sidekick, Johnny, who I talk about all the time. I just talked about him last week. The last time I went to his salon, he greeted me with a 2-page printout that he had done on using AI. He asked, his question was outline the common frustrations, desires, and fears experienced by hairdressers when dealing with hair color, providing a structured view of their concerns in the professional context on Instagram and social media marketing. He's amazing. So he's like, I wanted to see, you're always looking for new topics to talk about. Let's see what everybody's asking about. So the top 3, interestingly enough, were inconsistent color results, difficulty achieving desired shades, which is the same thing as inconsistent color results, and color fading quickly. Number 4 was staining of skin and clothes. Number 5, products causing scalp irritation. 6, time-consuming color correction. 7, managing client expectations. 8, dealing with color corrections. 9, balancing multiple client appointments. And 10, color consultations not converting. So I know that the answer to every single one of these questions is in my Hair Color Secrets Insider Library, and you can't become an insider and have any of these questions after you're finished. It's all in one place. So can you type into your own AI assistant these questions? Can you go on YouTube, which I just got off of watching a YouTube video that was excellent. I can go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole on YouTube, on podcasts, on Instagram, on TikTok, here on Facebook. I can do all those things. But do I want to take the time to research and find all of these things when there is a library where it's start here, watch this video. Okay, you get that. Now watch this video. Okay, you get that. Come into our Facebook group and show me that you got that and share a photo of you doing this technique. So for me, this was created because this did not exist for me. I had to piece it all together. I had to get on airplanes and travel all over the country. When traveling was, not a lot of people traveled back then. It was back in the 80s. It was like a big deal to get on a plane. And I was so driven and so curious about all things color that I just kept going and going and going and then putting it all together. And that took me, 30 years of my career where I can put it all into a very organized dashboard experience where it's like the Netflix for the struggling hairdresser. So let's start with the top, inconsistent color results. Inconsistent color results are because you're either not measuring on a scale or you're not writing down or putting into a computer software the formula that you did last time. So you're constantly guessing and stressing. You're not really paying attention to what happened in between visits. A lot of times we get into this habit of like, same as last time, same as last time, same as last time. Your client is not the same as last time. She may have gotten a Brazilian blowout. She may have gone overseas and had different water on her hair. She may have gotten a new hot tool and she has it cranked up to the hottest setting and she's got that weird yellow burnt mark in her blonde hair that's new. So you don't want to just keep doing same as last time because you are actually creating the inconsistent results by doing the same mixture and formula as you did the time before. She's not the same person. Her mids and ends do not require the same formula as her regrowth does, ever. Number 2, difficulty achieving desired shades. Again, you're just guessing and throwing spaghetti at the wall. You're looking at her and saying, oh, I think I can get that with this color. You're not doing a test strand. You're not swatching out your line. You're not doing the homework that I can look at someone's hair at a hockey game and formulate them perfectly. No matter what color line I'm using, no matter what's going on, I can look at their hair and say, okay, to take her new hair to match this hair, I need to do A plus B equals C. It's very simple and it's a formula. It's not guessing. It's a formula with very easy 3rd grade math that I teach that you will get the desired shade every single time because you'll understand porosity. You'll understand that the zones of the hair are not created equal. Zone 1 is going to behave completely different than 2 and 3. So it's about education. It's about learning why you're having difficulty achieving the desired shade. And then 3, we talked about a couple weeks ago with color fading quickly. Are you using the correct product after a color service? Are you bringing that pH back down to where hair is supposed to live? I am going to venture to say at least 75% of you are not. You're using regular shampoo on the back bar, whatever. If they have fine hair, you might be using a volumizing. If they have dry hair, you might be using moisturizing. You're doing that to give the hair what it needs as far as moisture and volume and all of those things, but you're not considering the pH that you just blew up to a much higher level to get that color to take, and then you're leaving it. It's like doing surgery and leaving the wound open and not putting stitches in is exactly what you're doing by not bringing the pH back down. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, you need to become an insider. You need to learn about these things. Then number 4, staining of skin and clothes. Oh my gosh, like, come on. There is no excuse for staining of anything. Of course, I don't have one. I used to have one right here, but someone needed it and I sent it to her. So stain barrier cream is a no-brainer. If you do not use a stain barrier cream, shame on you. It is such a quick, easy way to prevent the stains in the first place. So putting it right around the skin as close to the hairline as possible. I do the tips of the ears, the back of the ears, behind the neck, all the places where the stains tend to live. I squeeze it onto my hand. I take my finger. I rub it all the way around the client. The clients appreciate it. They can go back to work. They don't have to pretend that they didn't go to the hair salon with the big stain around their face when they say they have a doctor's appointment and they come in and they have like an inch of black on their face. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for it. I can do level 2 color and not have a single even shadow of a stain on that person's skin. I have a video in the Hair Color Secrets Insiders of how I remove color, how I prevent color from staining, and there's literally no excuse in 2024. I don't want to hear about cigarette ashes. I don't want to hear about Clorox bleach. I don't want to hear about Windex. All these crazy remedies. Your client's paying you a lot of money to have professional color. Do you think she wants your dirty ass ashes on her face? That's disgusting. They did that back in the 50s and 60s because they didn't have stain preventers and they didn't have removers. That's all they had. So they did the best with what they had. Whoever created that idea of smashing dirty ass cigarette ashes around an already stained head, interesting person I would like to meet, but it worked, right? So things that work don't mean that we should use them, especially in a professional environment. That's just my opinion. I think it should be professionally done, professionally prevented in the first place. And when you say clothes, get yourself a damn cape. We put clients in a beautiful silky black robe. We are not going to get anything on their clothes because they're not wearing their clothes. They're wearing our robe. They can get color all over our robe all day long. We don't care. That's what it's there for. We can get a new robe. But I don't want to pay for Kelly's $400 shirt that she got in Paris on her 25th anniversary, and it's irreplaceable. Because that's the client story that we all hear, right? When we get something on their clothes, they're like, oh my gosh, that was my grandmother's. That was the one of a kind. It's irreplaceable. I'm calling my lawyer. It's so dramatic. I had a client who had a $25,000 Birkin bag. It was white alligator. Okay. Her color is level 5 brunette. She plopped it right next to her, right on the floor next to her. And I'm going like this from bowl to head, flinging level 5 color. I'm like, oh, no, honey. We are not putting that bag anywhere in this vicinity. We are going to put it in plastic and put it on the windowsill 8 miles from my reach of this color. I don't want my assistant picking it up with a, dirty glove on her hand accidentally. That has happened where they go to move a client's purse, but they might have color on their hand. Just protect yourself and get all that stuff out of your way because we're busy, right? We're moving fast. A lot of color, goes flying off the brush. It's not intentional, but it happens. So insist that your client changes their clothing. Is there a client who will say, oh, I'm fine. I'll just tuck my collar in? To which I say, okay, I need you to sign this form saying that you were offered a robe and that if color gets on your clothes, it's on you. Because how many times have you gotten it on their knee if they're wearing like nice pants and their cape is not covering their knee and it gets on their knee? So have them sign a waiver. You made the decision to not wear our robe. That's fine. Maybe you're in menopause. Maybe you get extra heated. Whatever the reason, your clothes are not our responsibility. So that's my advice for that. Number 5, products causing scalp irritation. So I would say there's a difference between an allergic reaction and an irritation. If a client is just super scoochy and she's always itchy and she's always squirming and it's always a big deal, you can use Antidote Pro is an additive that you can use in the color, but disclaimer, do not cover up an allergic reaction. If they are physically uncomfortable and they're getting red and inflamed and there's an obvious allergic reaction, all the antidote in the world is not going to protect you. If she has an allergic reaction and her face blows up and she ends up going to the ER, you're on the hook. So please make sure that you understand the difference between I'm a little bit itchy, it's a little tingly, and I can't sit here another minute, I'm on fire. So be responsible. But Antidote, it's Antidot. You can say Antidote, whatever, was designed for that purpose, to just take that little bit of a sting out of your sensitive clients. Also, recommend that your clients don't shampoo right before they come to see you, because a lot of them are nail shampooers. They use their their fingernails. We as professionals, I hope, know to use the pads of our fingers and not fingernails. But a scratched scalp is going to tingle, is going to have an uncomfortable reaction to ammoniated hair products. It's chemicals on your head, so it's common sense. So make sure that you provide the best products that you can. Make sure they're not super high in ammonia and alkalinity content. Usually the cheaper the product, the more, not great ingredients. So use great ingredients, use things that, protect your client, and, have them not wash it right before they come in. Don't come in with, 12-day-old hair, but don't wash it before they come in to see you. Number 6, time-consuming color correction. When you understand the fundamentals of color and you understand how hair color works, with the exception of splat, manic panic, and all these other henna, things that are really, problematic for us in the salon, every correction is such an easy fix if you simply understand going back to the basics. So I'm looking, my little gift here that I send to my Inner Circle members, and it's also available in my store. I love this. I got this from a friend of mine who's also a member, Bart. He sent this to me as a gift. I love it. It's a keychain that has the color wheel. So you have your color wheel right here. So if you're stuck and you're not sure and you need to revisit a color wheel, you can turn this wheel and it'll tell you exactly what to do and exactly what you're correcting. And a lot of times we overcorrect. So when we're trying to take a client who has some brassy orange tones, but she's not Blonde McDonald orange. She's not like screaming orange, Annie. It's just brassy. There's a difference between brassy and really orange. So brassy is going to fall more in that yellow orange category. So if you bring out the big guns and you go right for the straight up blue, but it's really more yellow orange. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. So this yellow orange here versus, bright orange. When you go across the wheel from the yellow orange, it shows you a violet result. So we always usually go, oh, it's orange, let me go blue. But this violet, it's really hard to see on the monitor. This violet is in person much more of a blue violet. So that's the key. If you overcorrect and you go all the way to blue, blue is always the bully. I talk about it all the time. So if you overcorrect and say, I need blue, and you put all blue in your corrective shade, whether it be permanent, which I don't recommend, that's just my style. I like to do demi. You pull out like, a 6 ABN in Redken or a 6B that means blue in another line. A lot of lines, B means brown, beige, it means other things. But when it's straight up blue and you go in with that, you're going to completely squash all that orange and it's going to look much darker because blue is a bully. So if it really wasn't pure orange and it was more yellow orange, they're going to say, oh my gosh, you made my hair so dark. Where's my highlights, or where's the color that I paid you for? It's gone. Yes, the orange is gone, but so is the life of the hair and all the sparkle and all the things. So if you have a more, what's the word I'm looking for? More, I'm having a senior moment. More specific, but that's not the word. This wheel is another level than your usual, everything across from everything on a regular color wheel. It's going to show you those gray areas in between with those tertiary colors. So leaning, not going straight blue, but leaning towards the warmth next to blue is going to be your blue violet, because it's leaning towards, remember, violet is made with blue plus red. So it's leaning a little bit warmer, but it still has that blue to squash that orange, but not so squashed that there's nothing left. So I know I talk fast and I get excited, but you see what that looks like? The difference between blue and blue violet. I can't tell you how many times I do a hot seat with one of my members. That's also a perk of being an inner circle member. You can get me in a hot seat and say, this is my client. I'm showing you her picture. She's coming in today at 3:00. I'm stuck with what to do, yada, yada. I'll say to them, okay, I'm recommending that you do, a blue green. And they'll say, well, and they'll look at their chart and they'll say, well, I have blue. And I'm like, okay, but you need blue green. And they're like, but I don't have it. I'm like, well, why do you not have it? So I think in this list, a lot of the things that are listed as the frustrations, they can be managed by having the right color in your arsenal. If you are a brand new solo suite operator and you're like, I can't afford to have a whole entire line with every single shade, well, then you couldn't really afford to be in your own business. Because imagine when you worked at a commission salon, if your owner just said, you know what, I'm feeling like it's my anniversary and I want to go on a fabulous trip to Italy with my husband. And I'm not feeling like I want to provide one of every shade in the line this week because you may not have anybody that you need a green shade on. So I'm going to gamble and not buy it. You would never allow that. You would never stay at that salon. So why are you doing that as a solo suite person, saying, why I use a lot of neutral and I use a lot of gold. So I'm just going to have that. And then I'll have, when I see that a client's coming in that needs red, I'll go buy it that day. What are you going to do when you have a client on the book? You don't know what she looks like. She's coming in an hour. You assume that you have what you need. And then she comes in and she's like off the charts red, like screaming fire engine, put the fire out red. And you don't have anything like that in your selection. Are you going to have her sit in your chair and say, I'll be right back, get in your car and drive to Salon Centric or Cosmoprof or wherever, Sally's, wherever it is that you frequent for your supplies? That is so unprofessional and not okay. So either be a big girl or boy and go all in and be like, I need to have one of every color, because there are going to be days that you need blue, green versus blue versus just green. You're going to need, a more blue violet than just violet or just blue. So having what you need and understanding that violet is blue and red. I can't tell you how many people say, I just saw it yesterday on a Facebook forum, I used blah, 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 blah. There's 4 different shades and the hair got more red. Why did it get more red? I'm like, hello, where do you think violet came from? Violet is not part of the base of the color wheel. It's yellow, blue, and green. I'm sorry, not green. Yellow, blue, and red are on the color wheel. Green is not. Purple is not. We make those by mixing 2 of the other shades. So if you're just guessing and saying blue when you really need a blue violet, it's going to be a big difference. And if you're putting violet on something that's not yellow, it's really orange. Think about what you did. Orange is red and yellow mixed together. That's what makes orange. So then you go in with violet on that orange hair, and blue plus red is violet. So the blue in that violet is like, yeah, I'm here to do my job. I'm blue. I'm the bully. I'm here to kick some ass. blue goes in and does what it can to the orange. What's left behind is the red and the violet. The blue went and did its job. The red's like, well, I'm here to do my job. Hair color doesn't have a brain. It's not like, oh, blue, you got this, right? It'd be nice if it did. But the red's not like, hey, blue, you got this. She's orange. They don't need me. The red's like, hey, I'm going in too. So you take the blue out of the violet and take away the orange. The red in the violet that you're putting in is left over. Now you've gotten rid of the orange, but you've added red. So now the hair looks red. It's not orange anymore, but it's red. But you did that. Are you getting this? It's so freaking simple that it makes my brain hurt when I do a post on Instagram and people come at me and yell at me when I talk like this, because they're like, oh, who doesn't know that? That's Beauty School 101. But then they're the same person asking the question saying, why did it get red when I mixed 6T, 9V, 6G, D. They're doing all these things with 4 different shades of pre-blended colors that already have 2 shades in them. And then they're shocked that there's red left. If you break it all down, a lot of us are taught that red, yellow, and blue in equal parts is brown, and it's not. It is not. There is way more yellow in a neutral shade, way more yellow and red, and only 1 part blue in a neutral. So if you base all of your formulas on the hair having equal parts of red, yellow, and blue, you're going to be in trouble, and you're going to have all these things, inconsistent color results, difficulty achieving desired shades, time-consuming color correction, managing client expectations, and balancing, color consultations not converting. So let's talk about, where was I? I was on time-consuming color correction. So 7, managing client expectations. I think that the consultation is the most skipped over, most rushed process in the entire appointment, and is the most important. I always say God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so we could listen more than we speak. As hairdressers, myself included, guilty as charged, we love to talk. We love to talk. We love to hear ourselves talk. We like to fill awkward silence. So we are talking, and the client is leaving us Hansel and Gretel crumbs the whole entire time. Not light enough, too light, too dry, too frizzy, they're saying it, and we're like, blah, 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 and we're doing this. We're fluffing them, and we're like, yeah, How many times have you seen this on Instagram? They're like, I'm going to give you lived-in results. We're going to do that money piece, and they're doing this the whole entire time, and the client's just like, what's going on? Like, they're not really even hearing what you're saying because you're knocking them out with all the playing with their hair, trying to be fancy, standing behind them and shaking and looking and doing all this stuff in the mirror, where I want you to turn them around and look eye to eye. And I have another exciting thing on the horizon. I am in talks with a company from Australia about bringing this amazing product to all of you, where you don't have to pay the $50 in shipping to get it from Australia. And it's going to change your consultations forever. You're going to be able to charge for just a consultation. You're going to be able to up-level your client experience. And I promise you, when you get to the water cooler, when your client gets to the water cooler at her job, if she even works in an office anymore, everybody's working from home, but the buzz is going to happen the day after her appointment, because she's going to say, oh my gosh, I had this thing done with my hair that I was not expecting. And my eyes are wide open. I cannot believe that I've worn that hair color my whole life, that lipstick color, that clothing color, whatever it is. It's such an up-level experience with the consultation. So don't gloss over the consultation. Are we doing the same as last time? Don't rush through it. That's why problems happen. That's why corrections happen. That's more of a waste of your time. Taking the 15 minutes before mixing the color and starting the service is going to save you so much more time and money than doing a correction or an adjustment, because you didn't hear what the client was saying because you weren't taking the time to listen. You were hurrying up to get moving, doing what you wanted to do to the person's hair and not what they wanted. You didn't take the time to listen. So hugely important. And then that does away with The next thing, which is managing clients' expectations, dealing with color corrections, and color consultations not converting. All three of those are solved in doing a proper consultation. And I go deep on consultation. I'm passionate about it. I talk about it when I teach on stage. I do an example with someone from the audience on how I think a consultation should go. I'm not standing over the person with my arms crossed looking like a bully. I am sitting eye to eye with them. I'm looking at their eye color because their eye color is going to tell me whether or not they're going to land in a very brassy zone when I lift them. All you have to do is look in their eyes. Next step, I look at their skin color and I look in here because I live in Florida. So the color of my skin here is completely different than the color of my skin in here. I look at the color of their veins. I make sure that I know whether they're warm or cool. Are you doing that? I probably would guess to say you're not, because we're always in a rush. And then we say, my prices aren't high enough. It's the area that I live in. I can't charge more. You can't charge more because you're not taking the time and you're not making it a high level experience. I can get a dress in Nordstrom. I can get a dress in TJ Maxx. In Nordstrom, the woman is going to go, wait a minute, let me go grab a shaper for you because my belly is all puffy and bulgy. So she'll go grab me the right shaper for underneath the dress, where all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is a lot nicer. TJ Maxx, I'm on my own. I got to root through the rack and try to find that same shaper, or not, because I don't even know that that's a thing that's going to make me look better in that dress. I can go buy a bra at Kohl's, or I can go buy a bra at a bra store where they measure me and show me the correct measurement for what I'm supposed to be wearing. They say 80% of women or more, probably by now, are in the wrong bra size. You know, we get the bra that we get when we're a teenager and we just keep buying the same size bra. Well, as a 57-year-old woman, my breasts are a lot different than they were when I was 15. So it's those things that set you apart, where you're actually caring about the client and what their skin tone is like. Because if they come in asking for a cowboy copper and you know that it's not going to look good in their skin, on their skin tone, it's your job to have that conversation. Don't just give the client what they asked for because they asked for it. Be the professional, be the expert, and talk to them and show them the difference of, this is what, you see me talk about my clip-in bangs all the time. Show them the cowboy copper right here, right around their eyes, and then take it back off and say, how do you feel best? Do you look best in what you have right now or the cowboy copper? Let's decide before we put all that red in your hair and then you call me and say your husband cried when you walked in the room and you want your blonde back. We can avoid all those issues by communicating. Communication is key. I am also a life coach and a business consultant. I wear all the hats because I've had a salon for almost 40 years. So I've opened salons, I've had multiple locations, I've taught, all things business, all things color. I am an amazing resource for you. So take advantage of it. Become a Hair Color Secrets Insider. It's so much more than just formulation. I think when I talk about it on here, people are like, oh, I've got formulation. I don't need that. That's just module 1 is formulation, because to the point that I just shared with you, all 10 of these things can be avoided if you understand formulation. If you don't, and you're guessing and you think you get it, by the end, you're like, it's almost like the inspiration, not quite, but almost, but we need another visit for that. Then you start to cover up and say, oh, I knew we couldn't get there today. We need 3 visits. No, you should have told them that in the beginning. So the thing that makes me cringe, and I'm going to end on this, is someone asked on a forum, they said, I'm not sure about hair color and, how do I get better at color? And there were like 165 answers. And 164 of those answers were fake it till you make it and trial and error, honey. That's what they said. Trial and error, honey. Trial and error, honey. It's just trial and error. Just keep trying and you'll figure it out. And I was like, oh my God. I literally, if you strapped a blood pressure cuff on me at that moment, I would need to be hospitalized. I was like, trial and error? This person is just walking out of beauty school with very basic information that makes 0 sense in using it on an actual client. That was my experience anyway. And you're saying, just keep trying and you'll make mistakes and that's how you learn. No, 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 no. Make mistakes on a doll head. Make mistakes on a hair swatch that's not attached to a person's head because we get one chance to wow our client. They're not going to come back to you if you're doing the trial and error method. One person had an intelligent answer on that post, and she was one of my insiders, Linda, and I was so proud of her answer. She said, "You're coming out of beauty school. You have the foundation. Now it's time to get the correct education. I highly recommend checking out Elaine from Expert Color Solutions. She will help you with the foundations of formulation. I've been doing hair for, I think she said 30 years, and I've just learned things that blew my mind that I never knew. So start out with the correct education, and you won't have to make mistakes or have trial and error." And I was like, thank you, Linda. And I was so proud that the person that gave the best answer, in my opinion, was someone who's been through my program because she gets it. She gets that she did do the spaghetti on the wall trial and error. And it took her 30 years to realize you don't have to be nervous. You don't have to be anxious. You just have to get the right education. And I hope that that's with me. So I do have a very beginning, start with me here. If you're not ready for the full hair color secrets insider 100 videos and all the things that you need for your entire color career, that's okay. Start with hair color formulation simplified. It's only $47. You can purchase it at expertcolorsolutions with an s.com/simple. It's $47. It'll be the best $47 you ever spend. Once you click on it, you'll have the opportunity to get my ebook for a discounted price, other classes. Just come into my world, however you come in there, and let me be part of your journey in color. I want to make it so much simpler for you to earn the living that you want to live, have the confidence that you want to have, and have the support that you deserve. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all in the next one.